This week's episode is brought to you by Body Scare. All natural body care products so good, they're scary.
What's going on?
Hello and welcome back to an podcast. I had a kid jump on me. I got distracted. What do you want me to tell you? Welcome to an all-new Vampire Horror Podcast. Patio Furniture, Michelle the Dead. We got a guest tonight, Joshua Grant. Monday night.
Oh gosh, that's the cowbell out for you. That's so awesome.
I feel so special. I was like, I need to get a cowbell or something to go back. I don't know what I have in here.
I must say, Vlad, I know you were distracted by the cat that jumped on you, but I was distracted by how terrifying that Body Scare commercial is. I was shivering.
It was so scary. The products are great.
Yeah, so good, they're scary.
They're so good, they're scary.
Scary. I'm allowed to make fun of it. It's my company.
Hey, Russ. Hey, Melissa. Welcome.
So tonight we do have a guest, as you can tell, just below me is Mr. Joshua Grant, author, thousandaire, philanthropist.
Getting less of that by the day. I'm like,
I'm 100.
I was like, I'm down to like 100 I think by this point.
Yeah. I'll be a 20-year.
I'm a 20-year.
Yeah.
Russ says Melissa's got some heavyweight hitter. He's coming in as the number one fan.
Oh.
Are we gonna have a contest?
Oh boy.
What kind of contest is it? Ooh,
he's gonna have to go pretty hard. Oh, I think we should have a SmackDown one night of Melissa versus Russ in a trivia
physically contest. like Jello wrestling.
No, like a podcast-specific trivia battle.
Oh. So they have to go back and listen to all the previous podcasts.
Yeah, I just want to hear a rap battle. We can have a rap battle between the two of you.
Melissa's.
You just signed up for a rap battle.
I'll judge. Actually, I'll just.
Ooh, that'll be awesome.
Joshua, excuse me. My first question for you is, can you explain this picture?
Yeah, I was like, that's me at which one was that? That was like Colorado Springs Comic-Con, and so yeah, I'm out here in Colorado, and so we that was actually one of my first Comic-Cons of all things, and I started with like horror novels, and I was a novelist for years, and had like a best-selling horror book there, but I never went to like a Comic-Con because I was like, I can't go to Comic-Con until I have something like cool and visual and stuff. And then eventually, I went out there and I dressed up as J. Jonah Jameson at Comic-Con. And I yell at all the people dressed up as Spider-Man, and I have a lot of fun doing that. So I'm like, you're a menace, and I yell at all the Star Wars people too. I'm like, you're a Phantom Menace. I have my little cigar and stuff, and I walk around yelling at all of them. And one of them wanted a picture of me, so I was like, get me pictures of Spider-Man. Got a picture with him, and so we just had some fun. And then I yelled at some lady's kid though. He was like a little kid. He was dressed up like Spider-Man, and I was like, your child is a menace, and she did not get the reference. I thought she was gonna punch me, and so I was like, oh no, I'm a guy from the movies, I promise. It's like,
some people.
So
hey, what's up, Jay?
So you pointed out, you're obviously a writer. How did you get into writing? Like, what was comics your kind of lead in, or how did you get into that?
Yeah, actually, weirdly, comics is like my new thing, I guess. It's like I've been writing since I was in like high school. It was like Lord of the Rings. That was the one. It's like Lord of the Rings came out when I was in high school, and so I was like writing all like fantasy back then and everything. And then I quit, and I would write, and I quit, and I write, and then eventually, just a few years back, I went on a cruise and was like, this is the perfect setting for like a horror movie. And I love the movie The Thing. That's my like favorite horror movie of all time. And so I wanted to always write, like I wanted to write something that was like The Thing, where it's like ambiguous and you don't know, who the creature is or what's going on. And I wanted to find a good isolated place to have that. And so I went on a cruise. And I was like, this is the perfect setting for like a horror book. And it's isolated, but it's got a lot of people and it's got a lot of interesting locales. And so I wrote Pandora, which is my first horror book, and then I started writing that series. And then I was working at a summer camp during the summers as a counselor, and I had all these kids that would show up like with their parent, and they're like, my child like got your book, and it's like full of like F-bombs and stuff. I was like, I should probably write like some fantasy things or something. So I started writing like young adult sci-fi and fantasy, and did that for years. And then just had an idea years ago where I was like, ooh, I want to write, like, I had this idea for like Peter Pan as like a vigilante crime fighter. I was watching the movie The Dark Knight, and I wanted to make something like dark and gritty like that. And I wanted to take a fairy tale and just retell it like that in our modern actual world. And so I did that with Peter Pan, and did like The Lost Boy. It was my first comic series, and it took off like right off the bat. It shocked me. I thought I was not going to make any money in comics. I had no idea how to make a comic, and I went searching on how to do a comic, and eventually put one out there, and it became a #1 bestseller right away, which shocked me.
That is so awesome.
Years to do like bestseller on other books. So and now I just do comics. So that was only about 2 years ago, and so only really been doing comics for 2 years, and now I do some vampire ones for a company called Bajewski, which is we did like the Attack on Vitalik, and they're still doing that series. And then I just released another zombie apocalypse, which we're going to talk about tonight. And then I'm working on there we go, another
there
zombie apocalypse. It's so pretty, I love it. And
it
really is
great cover. I love that cover. It is so cool.
Well, see, once you get into comics world, like after being in writing, it's like, it's all about the writing. You toil in obscurity. Comics are so addicting because it's like every day is Christmas. It's like I do all the art that no one's ever going to see. So all the art you see is actually Laszlo Nemeth, who is my artist and business partner, and he does an incredible job. But he makes everything look pretty. I do all the writing, the layout, and then I do all the concept art. So I do all the creature design and character design, and then I kick it over to Laszlo, and he makes it all look pretty. And so it's like and so my stuff is decent, but it's never gonna ever be seen.
Here's my stick figures. Make this look awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I've upgraded since from doing stick figures to starting to get there. But I tried recently. I'm working on another comic right now, and I did like anime hair, and I realized like every time I start thinking I'm an artist, I realize I'm definitely not. but comics are fun because everything is like meaningful, even the art and the layout. Everything tells a story. So like that cover you saw, we wanted to pay homage to all these old like zombie things. So Dawn of the Dead, that's actually the cover. We took Dawn of the Dead, that kind of concept and coloration, and we actually painted that in there. But everything on the cover, all the zombies and the things falling in the sky, are all part of the big twist that's coming later in the series. And so
I dig it. One of the things that I liked a lot, because you sent me a copy of it, is the artwork. I love the artwork of these books.
Well, me too, actually. I was like I said, I was like, this is why every day is so much fun, because it's such a collaborative process. Laszlo and I go back and forth. So I'll draw something, I'll send it to him. He sends me, every time I think I'm an artist, I'll take a day to draw something that's decent, send it to him. In 30 minutes, he'll send me like 5 different renditions. Like, which one do you like?
That's so cool.
And so we like that robot you just showed, Emmerich is his name. And so he's a very confused robot in the apocalypse, right? Because he's a service robot. He's supposed to help humanity, but he doesn't consider zombies to not be human. He just sees them as a different form of humanity. So it's hard for him to understand, like, I can't let humans hurt each other, but I can't hurt a human. And so it's like, it gets really confusing for him. But like, he originally was like just a flashlight head. I like drew, we went back and forth on several designs for him. And originally he just had like a flashlight head, and he was more like a Roomba. And so it's like this Roomba flashlight head thing. And we wanted it to be more like menacing. And we went through all sorts of renditions. And eventually it was like, I was like, oh, we can do it like a mannequin. We want that uncanny valley where it's like, it's kind of human, but it's kind of creepy. So we had like this like kind of like porcelain doll kind of face. And then Laszlo had the great idea of putting like they're actually really subtle. You might not even notice them, but there's little solar panels that start to lift up off his little head. So he's got
that's
little solar panels.
awesome. What a good idea.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was like, oh, I love that.
It's the little details that make it.
Yeah.
Can you pop that photo back up, Vlad? I want to take another look at it, please.
The
one that you popped up.
Yeah, hang on one second. Let me go back to my brand.
It's gone. It's just like the comic. Once you see it, it just gets deleted.
I really like that design. And there's like a whole cover that I'm guessing that's a cover.
Yeah. Inside the book, actually. So the book itself is like several zombie apocalypses that are all set on different worlds, different dimensions, and they're all their own thing, and they're very different takes on the zombie apocalypse idea, but they're actually all connected. There's something bigger going on that'll eventually happen in the third volume, but each chapter has its own chapter cover like this. And this was actually the very first image for the comic. So this was the very first final image that we had. This is about a year ago that Laszlo sent me this, and I gushed over it for like an hour. It's like when you're an author, it's like, when you send something out in the world from your brain, it's like you just stare at it. It's like your baby, and you just walk by. You're like, oh, I made that, and then you realize you've been staring at it for like 5 minutes. And it's like, oh. So.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I love it. Very nice.
Sorry, I'm in the process of looking at trying to post.
He's reading it really quick. Thanks for reading the comic. You didn't do your homework.
While Vlad's deep in thought over there, I just need to know about your self-proclaimed comic book villain story?
Yeah.
Yes, my Bond villain, right? And so that's my description. My description there on my website, right? I'm a self-proclaimed Bond villain. Like I set up a Diabolic Shrimp is my website. It might be linked somewhere, I don't know. But it's like a Diabolic Shrimp is my website, and I started it out as an author site, and I never thought I'd use it for anything. And I was like, I'm an author now. I should probably have an author site. And I named it, of all things, I named it this is embarrassing, right? In my head, I was like, I got my like inky tendrils and a bunch of different things. Like I have an idea of like spreading out with this thing. So I named the thing, I named it Inky Tendrils originally, inkytendrils.com. And it's horrible. It's like, I love it. Like if you type in inkytendrils.com right now, go and do it. It'll still take you to my website because it's at its very core, and it's very painful to me because I still have to type that in to find it. And like, but eventually I went out with friends, and I was really excited about it. And they all laughed me under the table. We were all out to eat, and like even the waiter laughed at me. He's like, and they're like, it sounds like a porn site. And so they're like, yeah, get rid of that. And so I had to think of a different name. And so Diabolic Shrimp became my new one. So Diabolic is my diabolic plan to get every author in the world on there, and I'll take over the world someday. And so I'm basically a Bond villain by this point. And then Shrimp is because authors are the little guys, but together we're all kind of impressive. And so our goal is to send Shrimp to the moon, and I might actually be able to do that soon. And so it's a little bit weird how it worked, but yes, I'm a Bond villain now because honestly we have gotten a lot of people on there. But the cool part is I'm also a thousandaire philanthropist, as I say, because I give a portion of everything I do, all the advertising I make, or my YouTube, or like my books, and I give that to universally good causes, things like childhood disease research, and they're all linked into like whatever the book is about. So like Another Zombie Apocalypse is about disease, so it gives a portion of its proceeds to childhood disease research. Like the Pandora was in the ocean, so I do ocean exploration with that one. And so but it's part of my evil plan to take over the planet.
I love that. I love that.
Build a base on the moon that's shaped like a shrimp or something.
And we can be.
Well, you did another book. Was it before this one called The Lost Boy?
Yeah. So yeah, The Lost Boy is I meant to actually have it. Maybe not. It's hiding away in a box over there. So the Lost Boy is it's Peter Pan is a vigilante crime fighter. It's actually a whole series. There's 6 of them for the first season, and so I just retold the Peter Pan story, but like it's set in the real world. So it's like, and it's actiony, it's gritty. It's kind of like Karate Kid meets The Dark Knight in a way, or Daredevil. And so it's like it's dark, it's gritty. It's like there's nothing magic in it. It's all realism. It's like vigilante crime fighter, but Peter is a homeless kid who like saw too much, and a friend of his got killed. So it's like a revenge thriller kind of thing. He's trying to get revenge on Mayor Hook. Hook is the mayor of Los Angeles. And so it's like this epic crime fighting kind of Batman-y kind of thing. And so
Man,
I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you had the same artist on that one, didn't you?
Except for the first one. So my very first comic art was a guy named Mark Rossetti. He worked on Ghost Rider. Actually, I hunted him down, and he drew the first one. And like I said, I thought it was gonna be my expensive pet project, but I was like, this has to be a comic, like superhero, Peter Pan. I was just going to do a short story originally, and I was like, that has to be visual. And so I got him, spent thousands of dollars to do like a little 20-page comic. And like I said, it became a #1 bestseller right off. And then everything went to comics after that. I have a hard time getting back to novels. And so, yeah, it's like, Mark Rossetti, though, like the second we put the comic out there, it ended up like he got picked up by Warner Brothers, and they gave him like a non-competitive contract where he can't work with anybody else. And so I had to like scramble to find like a new artist like last minute. And it was like nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking finding an artist that's going to give your vision and have that look of what you're going for. And you have to kind of guess based on some of their other artwork, like, maybe they can do this. And then like, it's even more nerve-wracking to find another artist that can kind of match that art and do their own thing. And I really lucked out. Laszlo honestly is just a gift. Like, he's fantastic, and he and I have a great business relationship. We're working on a video game currently, actually, together, and so we're well along on that one, actually, surprisingly.
Nice.
So that
when is that kind of coming out?
There it is.
Oh yeah, there we go. The last. So that's the very first. The very first issue there, and so near and dear to my heart, The Lost Boy. There, we had a lot of fun. Season 2 will eventually come. We've just been so overloaded with projects. We're going to do the Wizard of Oz in season 2, and so that's him. That's him fighting the shadow, which is like a retelling of Peter's, always chasing his shadow. And so,
now I need an explanation. I'm a big fan of this photograph.
This is a bit of a Laszlo's brainchild here. we were doing our first Kickstarter actually ever, and we did a Kickstarter for Zombie here, and he took our pictures and just drew all over them. So to be honest, I don't know how much I can explain, but like some of it though is like, I swear I see. I think the smiley face is from Evolution, but and then of course he put Red Rum in there, and like Laszlo's a huge he's a huge horror fan. He's even more of a horror fan than I am. I'm actually a big scaredy cat, so I don't know why I started in horror, to be honest.
You got to get in there somehow.
So, and thanks, Russ. Yeah, I was like Wizard of Oz is my father's favorite, but I was never too into it. But I'm actually. Same with Peter Pan. Once I started writing a book based on that, I learned so much, and it was actually really fun just adapting it. But we're kind of doing something similar now with I'm working on one that's Greek mythology meets cyberpunk currently. It's called Mortal Coil, and so we're in the early stages. Yeah, I have fun with that because it gives me something to play with.
Yeah,
that I don't have to think up everything straight out of my brain, I guess.
When that's one of the things I actually really liked about another zombie
apocalypse.
Yeah, it was kind of like how every chapter was like a different story based in the same kind of world. How did and that's something like we don't really see very often. How did you kind of think about that? It's not something in the at least in the comic book world you see, where it's usually one continuous kind of storyline. Where did you kind of come from with that idea?
Yeah, I had a nightmare one day actually, so I woke up from this nightmare, and that's actually the very first short story that I put together for that. I was actually writing a short story anthology for just different takes on it, because after I had this nightmare that was kind of different, and I don't even remember it fully. I wrote it down, but it's not in this one. It'll be in a later one, but I just started writing after that. Like every time an idea came into my head of what would be a different take on the zombie apocalypse? And then I just kind of think about it for a bit while I'm doing dishes or something. And then I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. And then I'll go write it down. So that's my rule. I come up with the rules for every one of my books. So like, Peter Pan had to be, everything from Peter Pan had to be in there. It had to be true to the original characters, but they also had to be different in some way. And so that was my rule for it. And so I had to retell Peter Pan that way in a gritty realism kind of way. Right. Whereas another zombie apocalypse, everything had to have zombies. Like zombies have to be in every single one of them. Because I don't like zombie things where they get away from the zombies. And so I was like, they have to have zombies, but I'm also all about creatures. So I want other types of creatures. So I was like, how can I take zombies and make them into other types of creatures? Or like, how can I take zombies and like an aspect of the zombie apocalypse and tell it kind of differently? And so that's what I did. I was like the robot one I had to start with, because I'm like, that's an interesting thought. Like what if we have robots, like early service robots? How would that affect the zombie apocalypse? You can hide in your bunker and just let the robot go get you food. And so I started like thinking of the story that way.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, well, and we're almost there. I ran into a robot.
I know. I'm gonna go send my Roomba across the street to go pick up.
Just don't let it kill you. it doesn't work out so well in the book. So
Russ wants to know if you got some blimps hanging from the ceiling.
So it's like these like. There we go. Mine's all mirror image. There we go. These up here, it's like I have to like angle this thing like the way it is in this room. It's like it's got to be like exactly here, but it's like staring mostly at the fan, and I can't put a cover on this fan, so it looks like I'm living in a bunker, I guess. But like I was like, I got to spruce this up somehow, so I like hung up that right there. You can't see it very well. It's the Defiant from Deep Space Nine, Star Trek. I'm a huge nerd, if you can't tell from literally everything around here. And then that's actually one of the original like Millennium Falcon toys. And so like it's actually like it's super heavy. Actually, I'm actually afraid this is gonna snap someday and it's gonna brain me. But I like right back there. But yeah, so yeah, but it's like coming up with all these ideas. It just has some fun. So it's like upcoming in Zombie Volume 2, we're gonna have like a detective story. I was like, I want to tell like a noir black and white detective story with zombies. And so we'll have that. And so another zombie apocalypse came about because I had all these crazy ideas. And then Laszlo wanted to do a horror book that we can just like pick up, work on for like 10 minutes and then put back down and not finish if we don't want to. And so I was like, this is perfect because we can just work on an episode and then put it down and we don't have to finish if we don't want to. And it worked out actually
less
perfect.
Pressure.
Yeah, because we've been working on mega projects. We're converting my book, The Fifth Ascendant, which is a brick of a book. It's one of my favorite stories I've ever told, but it's not really one of my bestsellers, but it would be perfect as a comic. And so like, we're turning that into like a 10-year project of comics. So it's like, we wanted a break is actually kind of what another zombie apocalypse was.
Is that a title that you're going to continue to put out?
Oh yeah. So everything we're doing is going to continue. So The Lost Boy will eventually have season 2, which will be a little bit shorter than season 1, but that'll be Wizard of Oz, which I'm excited about.
That's
and then
awesome.
So we have the Wicked. Actually, I think one of y'all is out there in Seattle. So it's like the Wicked Witch of the West is from Emerald City. So she's a crime boss from Emerald City, which is Emerald City, Seattle, right? And so she's up in Seattle and controls the Seattle crime ring. And so, but yeah, so it's like so that's going to continue. The Fifth Ascendant has been actually about done for about a year. It's just we had to put the final touches, and that's an 85-page comic. So it's like it's a beast, and that's just part 1 of 8 for that one. And so that's going to be a fantasy one. Working on Attack on Vitalik for a company. We're doing another secretive project currently that we're working on something big that's kind of a movie tie-in, which is cool. And so and then we're doing another zombie apocalypse, and then we're about to do Mortal Coil as well, which is the Greek mythology cyberpunk. And then we're just going to finish series because I keep starting them and then we never finish them.
Bunch of unfinished.
So you just started doing the convention circuit then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I would go to them. I would just not sell anything or have a booth.
Yeah.
So I've actually I never had a booth until last year. So I had this like convention for like middle and high schoolers for like Dungeons and Dragons. It was like somebody invited me, so I was like, I'll get a booth there, and it was so much fun. So I'm gonna start up my big booth convention circuit coming up here.
Yeah, you really should. I just spent the whole weekend at NorwestCon, which is the Pacific Northwest largest sci-fi and fantasy convention, and it focuses more on literature and books and art, writers and art authors. So you should check that out. And then the three of us work at Crypticon, which is the horror convention, and we have all kinds of artists and writers and comic book people as well. So as vendors or guests or whatever. So you should check it out. And
well, definitely. I'll come say hi.
Yeah.
I saw you holding a head in the picture there. And so,
yeah. Where are you at?
Oh, I'm out. The problem with where I'm out in Colorado. So it's kind of like we get some of the convention stuff, but it's like we're kind of like far from where all the conventions tend to be.
Yeah. You're gonna have to travel.
No, I was like, I'm about to get on that. I was like, honestly, this coming year is like, it's the big convention one. So, so look out, Spider-Man, if you're out there.
Yeah.
Jay Jonah is coming. I got my cigar right over here somewhere.
Well, we always like to ask our guests if there are any parting words, any words of wisdom you want to give to the listeners out there.
Yeah, definitely. And this has been a lot of fun, by the way. And so, so when it comes to writing, or if you're looking to go into comics, something I think big that I can impart is that you don't necessarily have to be the expert. I had no idea anything about comics. I was just a writer, and I became a bestseller, and I failed at writing growing up. So it's like, you really don't have to be the expert in anything. And so as long as you're willing to work hard and you absolutely love what you're doing. And I do know a lot of people that get discouraged when they put their book out there and it doesn't sell right away. Right. And I totally understand, but it's like, it's one of those things, like, if you love it, then at least 100 other people are going to love it. So put it out there, and then you just got to keep working at it. And that's the hard thing. And so is that endurance piece. But like I say, you don't have to be the expert. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there and pursue it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I'm going to take those words to heart, because I've written a couple of little pieces that I started and just never finished. And
do really it. Good. It's a good time to be an author.
Yeah. For sure.
I know we flashed on the screen a couple times, and we've mentioned it, where people can get your work, but one last time, can you just give our listeners like a bullet point of where they can get your work at? Because I know I'm going to pick up some, because I'm intrigued by the Peter Pan story, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to check out any of my work, of course, it's on Amazon.com. Joshua Grant is what it's under. You can also find, if you want to connect with me, I love connecting with people. And so Diabolic Shrimp is the name of my website. Oh, thank you very much, Melissa. And so Diabolic Shrimp is the name of my website. It's also the name of my YouTube. I'm a YouTube talk show host. I interview interesting and famous people from around the world. So hopefully I get a couple of these personalities on there in the future here. And so you can connect with me there. Instagram, I'm Diabolic Shrimp as well. And so Diabolic Shrimp is the big one if you want to hunt me down. I love just being interactive with people. And absolutely. And so.
And as someone who's read it, I highly recommend Not Another Zombie.
How are you going to hold on to me like that, man?
Hey, man, I told you, let me know, and I would send you the login for my Kindle.
Yeah, well, no worries. I honestly appreciate all of you hosting me on here. I'm more than happy to share with you a free copy of something that you would want to read. So you don't have to worry about hunting something down.
Awesome. I'm gonna take you up on that.
Well, thank you again, Joshua, man, for sitting in with us and telling us.
Yeah,
your story,
thanks for
man.
coming.
Really
I'm excited.
Again,
and hopefully you'll be coming to our convention someday.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want you to see you holding my head, like the severed head. I saw that in the picture. It was cool.
Well, we would have to have you go to the studio, and then we would make a mold of your head. Yep. So we'd have to keep the little nose holes open and do the casting.
Jay Jonah with my mustache.
Do you have your severed head available?
I might have one back here. I'm used to climbing to success over my own dead body, right? So it's okay.
But see, the thing is, Joshua, is her severed head is fake. My severed finger is not.
Oh, nice.
True.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they let him keep it. I think it's looking a little soggy.
Yeah, it's a prop. It's CG.
It's get a little gross in there. I will
wonders
say
wonders with
Photoshop. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Joshua. You have a great night, man.
Yeah, you too.
That was fun.
Yeah, what a cool dude. I just found him on here, and I'm adding him now. So
I'm super stoked to read.
We'll definitely have to have him back on too when his new books come out, so we can talk more about the zombies and the vampires and the what was the
Wizard of Oz thing.
Wizard of Oz? No, but wasn't there a
Yeah.
Peter Pan?
He's got a mythology meets cyberpunk. That one sounds so rad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does.
100%.
Sweet. So what do we got next week, boys?
I believe next week we'll have Riley. What the hell's her last name?
Wait. I thought next week was supposed to be your production company.
Oh, is it? Is that okay?
Is your
all right
production company your special effects company?
Did you handle that?
I think it was CCC Entertainment that was coming on. Let me just double check with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Let me confirm. So I haven't locked down my special effects team yet because one of them's got work in the evenings. So
ew, that would be a
Jade
problem.
has work in the evenings, and so she will have to make sure we'll have to do it on a Monday. She's got off. So
sounds good.
All right.
Well,
all right. Love you all. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. We'll post who we have on for our next guest.
Cowbell out of here.
Yeah, get the cowbell out of here.
Where we going?
What's going on?
This week's